Hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of you relaxing, because now you're managing diabetes with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. You get to know your glucose levels and where it's headed. Manage your diabetes with more confidence with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. Ready to learn more about the #1 prescribed CGM in the U.S.? Visit freestylelibre.us to learn more. Based on retail sales data for patients' last filled prescription by manufacturer. Refer to the FLAIR NL4 study published in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care 2019. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
When I realized that my body, when it's healthy, is a strong vessel to do what I'm called to do, that it's not just about hitting the gym, it made hitting the gym a whole lot easier. Your reason for working out, your reason for being fit has to be to take care of this body that's on loan to you. And it has to be because it makes you feel good and not to get skinny. Because if that's your goal, you will never, ever, ever, ever be satisfied. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for clicking on today's episode. My name is Lily, I'm your host, and I'm coming at you guys with a little bit of a rebrand, which is kind of fun. If you guys went to tap on the podcast and you noticed a cover change, that's kind of a cool and exciting thing. I'm also working on rebranding the description, not by much. You guys probably won't even really notice, but I think the current description is like navigating life in a new city, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm not new to Annapolis anymore. Like I'm on year 3 and it just needed a little bit of work. So I'm working on that, got a new cover, which is really cool, keeping the same 80/20 logo, but just had to redo the cover. I just have really been, I feel like I have a new vision for the show every couple months, which is really annoying. I'm definitely the type of person that always has tons of ideas and I need to slow my roll oftentimes, but the cover was something that I really thought like long and hard about and wanted it to be something a little more representative of my kind of like current like vision for the show. And I thought that the beach, something flowy, something fun was kind of a good route to do that. So I'm on the beach wearing a blue dress and it is just, it's very simple. The cover before was from the book announcement photo shoot that I did last summer. And while that picture's cute, I never wanted it to be the cover, but it was just kind of one of those things that was like, okay, I just want a picture for the cover. And I didn't like my options. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I might as well just make this the cover and this will do for now. And then in the summer, once it gets warmer and once I feel like I'm ready, I can do a new cover shoot. And that's what I did. And I'm really happy with how it all turned out. So that's the new cover. Honestly, like not much of the content is going to change. It's just going to continue to be me on the mic probably. I might bring in a guest or two, but you guys really, really enjoyed the solo series and I want to continue that. And I obviously just want to deliver what you guys want. And I felt like I kind of had to hit the reset button in a sense. So that's why I was I think that this is week 3. Yeah, I think I took 3 weeks off. And then I'll post this week. So anyway, doesn't really matter because we're back in business. I kind of just felt like I had to take a couple steps back and really evaluate like what I wanted to talk about. And I don't know, not like, I feel like for you guys, it's not going to seem like much of a change, but I don't know, every now and again, you just gotta like take a step back. I think I posted an episode pretty much every single week for like the past 3 years. So it was kind of chill to just not post for a couple weeks and just like let my thoughts be in my head and then get back on the mic when I feel ready. And today I feel very, very, very ready. So here we are back on the mic starting season 13, which is insane. The seasons are kind of just arbitrary, to be completely honest. I just kind of start and stop them when I feel like it, but season 13 sounds good. To set the scene for you guys, I'm in my living room. It's about noon on Monday. This will go up on Thursday. and I'm drinking a cold brew, and I don't really love it. I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest. I just bought like cold brew from the store. I'm trying not to buy coffee out. I'm trying to only do it on Thursdays when we do Run Club, which we'll talk about in a second. Yeah, I'm trying not to buy coffee out because I love making it at home. It's become like a fun little ritual for me. But I just decided to drink cold brew instead of making my Nespresso for some reason. Well, I already had my Nespresso coffee this morning before my workout. I usually will put milk creamer in it, or almond milk in it, or maybe it was oat milk, I don't really know. But we had nut pods today, and I think that the nut pods creamer is really heavy in comparison to the milk, and I'm not loving it. But let me take another sip and see if it's like grown on me at all. I mean, it's not awful. I'll continue to drink it. I think it's the French vanilla creamer. It's just a little thick for me. So anyway, I'll keep drinking it. It's just a little tiny glass of cold brew. I just wanted like something fun to sip on while I chatted with you guys today. In other news, I know I've chatted about Run Club on here before, but I figured I'd mention it again, just in case it's not on your radar. Something that's been on my heart for a long time has been to create some sort of fitness and faith-based space, because those are two things, and we're going to talk all about fitness today, so this fits in perfectly. But my fitness journey has changed drastically ever since I started to incorporate my faith into all aspects of my life, not just like going to church on Sunday. And so starting some sort of organization, club, community situation that combines faith and fitness has been something that was really placed on my heart probably about a year ago. My sister Lexi and I started a Bible study group, and the idea was to kind of do the Bible study in the morning, and then right down the street was the yoga studio that Lexi taught at. So the idea was do the Bible study, and then everyone goes down the road and does yoga. And that never really worked because obviously people just like got busy and stuff, but the Bible study was still like kind of going strong. I was like, okay, well, let's make it a very intentional thing. Like, okay, we do the workout first, because I realized that whenever you work out before you do something, the thing after is always so much better. That's why you guys will learn as I talk throughout this episode. But now working out is pretty much the very first thing that I do in the morning. And it just has completely changed the game for me. But when you work out and then you go do something, I feel like you just have this mental clarity that you don't get otherwise. And so starting the Run Club with the intention of running first, devotional after, has been a really good formula for us. So we started it just as all girls, and we've done it for the past 4 weeks, I think, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. And it's been really, really cool, and people have responded really well to it, so much so that some of the guys that either have girlfriends who come to Run Club or just are friends of ours, they were like, wait, we want to be involved too. So tonight we have our very first session that is girls and guys, and I'm a little nervous about it, to be honest, because I feel like sometimes when you bring boys into the mix, it changes the dynamic, but I'm hoping that everything will be fine. I think it will be. Like, it's not a big deal, but I just know sometimes, like, you know that the boys are there because they're like, they want to like see the girls and like hang out, but hopefully they're all there for the right reasons, and it's going to be a good time, and I know that it will be regardless. So yeah, that's Run Club. If you guys are in the Annapolis area, you should definitely check it out. It's called Soul Run Club, and you can follow us on Instagram at soul.runclub. We meet on Mondays at 6 p.m. and Thursday mornings is the all girls group at 6:30 a.m. I really just had it on my heart for a very long time to do something like this. And it's just been really cool to see kind of how quickly God has worked in this and how much of a community he's built around. Like, I'm just a facilitator. Like, I'm kind of just like the person that's like bringing the people together. But really, like, this has just grown because it's up to God. Like, it's not up to me in the slightest. And I really just want to continue to keep the focus on him. And it's not about fitness. It's not about me. It's about him. And I would just appreciate all your prayers just for this little group that we have gathered together. And I've also received a lot of DMs from you guys saying that you wish there was something like this near you. And I'm trying to brainstorm ways of how to develop a system where people can kind of create their own Soul Run Club chapter in their own communities. And so we kind of have like a beta group, like a test group with my friend Megan. She lives in Pensacola, and she's an awesome runner and just a great friend of mine. And she reached out and she was like, hey, how do you start a run club? I was like, this is perfect, because I want to start different chapters in different cities. And so we're going to kind of see how the Pensacola one goes. But if you live in Pensacola and you want to join Soul Run Club, that will probably happen there soon. So just follow Soul Run Club on Instagram. We will give you all the info as it comes out. We try to be super, super thorough. I also just have some cool plans for the club, which is exciting. I've just had a lot of ideas that have been placed on my heart, and I've just been really praying hard about it. And I just think I think it's going to be a cool thing.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
Okay, so today's episode is all about fitness, and specifically my fitness journey in the sense of transforming it from it all being about looking a certain way to being about truly taking care of my body, because my body is not mine. Like, when it really comes down to it, I am just in this body, and it's a vessel for me to be on this earth and interact with other people. But it's, in a sense, if you really want to get philosophical this early in the episode, it's essentially on loan. Okay. And I just have a responsibility of taking care of my body. And I think first and foremost, that comes with spiritual fitness first. Before you can pick up a barbell or go for a run or roll out your yoga mat, you have to be spiritually fit and in the right headspace in order to perform your best in the gym. And I don't think that you can have one without the other. There is such a shift that you feel emotionally and physically when you are spiritually fit. So I want to talk about that first and foremost. I really opened up over the past couple months about how I really struggled with body image for a very, very, very long time. Like, literally for as long as I can remember, I had always struggled with body image. 2 episodes ago, I talked about overcoming my binge eating problem, and I would highly recommend going back and listening to that episode if you are struggling with body image, because I feel like you will probably definitely relate to it. Probably since I was like 10, I saw food and exercise as a way to become skinny. That was always my end goal, was to become skinny. And I remember even in like middle school and stuff, like I wanted to do a juice cleanse. And I was an athlete in high school. I played lacrosse for a little bit, or played lacrosse in middle school, stopped in high school because I broke my neck. And then I just swam all through high school. And I was a swimmer for pretty much my whole life. So I was athletic, and that was fine to some degree, but I always would compare my body, especially on swim team, compare my body to my teammates. And then as I got to college, obviously that kind of just continued, right? I didn't swim in college. I just was left to go to the gym on my own and do whatever. And so I did like the bikini body guide program, and, girls in my sorority would always talk about how, the food makes them this, that, and the other thing, and how they need to go run off the dessert that they just ate, or, okay, I'm not going to eat today so I can get more drunk later. And, I'm going to make sure, but I'm still going to make sure that I go run my 5 miles to balance out the calories that I'm drinking. And so I just always had this horrible mindset about my body and about food, because for the most part, that's what I was surrounded by. I didn't really have anything to ground myself to. I didn't have a foundation that told me that I was okay the way I was. I always felt like I had to change. I always felt like there was improvements to be made. And because of that, I always would look at myself very, very, very poorly. And I always wanted to change things about myself. I always wanted to change my legs or my stomach, or, my arms look look this way in this piece of clothing, and I wish that my, face wasn't as, it's just every single little thing that you could think of. Like, that is what I thought every time I passed a mirror, every time I put on a pair of jeans. And it just started to get really, really bad, especially when I worked a 9 to 5, because that was pretty much all I could focus on. And sitting at a desk all day really did a number on my body. And physically, just from sitting like hunched over at a computer all day, I felt really awful, especially my back. My back felt really, really bad. And no matter what I did, nothing helped. There was also a ton of other factors. I was super stressed out. I was just in a horrible mental headspace. So they all kind of start to intertwine, and it's hard to really pinpoint, what was the body image stuff versus what was the anxiety, what was the depression, what was the extreme stress. Like, it just all kind of starts to intertwine because it is intertwined. So it's hard to really pinpoint, what came from where. But for the better part of my life, I worked out to get skinny. For the better part of my life, I ate or didn't eat to become skinny. Like, that was my main goal, and that was my main focus. And it truly wasn't until I started to put my spiritual fitness first that I saw change. Because ultimately, no one is immune to body image issues. No one. And as you're listening to this podcast, you're probably thinking of the things that you want to change about yourself, because that's a natural thing to fall into. And especially as women, we're so heavily targeted. Like, everything is about looking a certain way or meeting a certain beauty standard. And it's really, really exhausting. So no one is immune to body image issues. And we're being fed these lies all day long. And you have to have a firm foundation in order to tune them out. And it probably even happens in your friend groups. It probably happens maybe with your roommate, maybe with a coworker, maybe with the person that you're even in the gym next to. Like, oh, I got to run an extra mile because I had a brownie last night and now I have to burn those calories. Like, whatever the conversation is, a lot of times, and especially I find this in my female friendships, it's always about how I can lose the weight. I personally stopped contributing to those conversations, and I've stopped participating in them. Like, if someone's talking about the weight that they need to lose, typically I'll walk away. Typically I'll just excuse myself, or I will, if it's in a group setting, I'll just kind of like turn my brain off to some degree and just like not participate in that part of the conversation, because quite honestly, that would, I hate to say it, but like trigger me. Like, that would kind of make me be like, oh, well, if that person is insecure about this, should I be insecure about that too? And it's like, no. Go back to your foundation. Go back to what God says about you. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You don't have to change that thing just because that person says that you should. Obviously, there's a fine line. It's like, okay, what's healthy and what's not? And we'll get to that in a little bit. But at your core, your reason for working out, your reason for being fit has to be to take care of this body that's on loan to you. And it has to be because it makes you feel good and not to get skinny. Because if that's your goal, you will never, ever, ever, ever be satisfied. Ecclesiastes chapter 2. The title of this chapter is called Pleasures Are Meaningless, and Ecclesiastes was written most likely by King Solomon. And a major theme of this book is that even the best of the world has to offer will never truly satisfy us, and that life apart from God is meaningless. And that pretty much checks out. Like, I can attest to that. Verse 10, I love this. It says, I denied myself of nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. Verse 11 says, yet when I had surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless. A chasing after the wind, nothing was gained under the sun. And I just want to read that again. Everything was meaningless, chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. And when I read that, I just think about the end goal in a lot of people's fitness journey. And a lot of it is a physical goal. And I wrestle with this because it's like, okay, it's good to have goals. It's good to want to be physically fit. It's good to want to be healthy. It's good to want to get your body to a certain place so you could perform at a certain capacity. I think all of that's good. But at the same time, is it just to look a certain way? And then oftentimes my then question to myself would be, okay, well, why do I want to look a certain way? And then oftentimes it would be like, oh, so a boy would like me. Or when I did YouTube, like I used to vlog. I don't know if you guys knew that when I did YouTube, it was like, okay, well, I want to look a certain way because then maybe brands would want to send me more clothes. Like literally that's what I would think. And how sad is that? Like, oh, I'm not good enough to get clothes sent to me, so I need to be skinnier because then maybe such and such a brand would want to work with me. Like how sad is that? That's really, really sad. And so when I read this verse, I just think back to the philosophy that I had on my life before versus now. Ultimately, you have to put your spiritual fitness as a priority, because when looking a certain way is the subject of your life, it's really unfulfilling. It's really, really, really unfulfilling, and it's not going to sustain you. So what really matters? What really matters? I think once you surrender the outcome of this is going to get me skinny, it's like, no, just do this because it's going to get you healthy. It's going to make you feel good. Loving your body will be easier because you can't heal a body that you hate. And if you're working out because you hate your body, you're not going to see results. Plain and simple, you're not going to see results. When I realized that my body, when it's healthy, is a strong vessel to do what I'm called to do, that it's not just about hitting the gym. It made hitting the gym a whole lot easier. There's a verse in 1 Timothy that says this. It's 1 Timothy 4:8. For physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. And I love that. Like Paul in this chapter literally says physical training has some value. It's a good thing. He says it's got value, but godliness has value for all things. So first and foremost, spiritual fitness has to be the foundation of your physical fitness. And how do you do this? What are some tools and tactics to become more spiritually fit? Great question. Great question. I think a good place to start, for me at least, was just reading the Bible and learning about it. And kind of like learning about the history of the Bible. And I mentioned this on the show before, but I'm back in school. I'm attending Liberty and I'm working on my psych degree. Something that I learned in the first theology class that I took was the Bible, although we try to apply it to our lives, and we should try to apply it to our lives, it's ultimately about God. Yes, it gives us tools and tactics and scriptures and, routines to live by. We should absolutely apply it, but it's God's story first. So understanding the historical context, understanding the authors of each book, understanding even how the books are laid out has been a really, really cool journey for me. And that's something that I really never took into consideration. Learning the history of the Bible has been such an eye-opening thing for me. And so getting into the word, but not just opening a random page, finding a random verse and trying to apply that, because you're taking it out of context. You can't really see the full picture. You can't really see God's story from just one single verse that you've taken out of context. And so I think it's really important to make sure that when you do read scripture, you understand the background, and a good show or a good podcast for that would have to be the Bible recap. And it's just these quick little 5-10 minute episodes about that story, about a specific Bible story or chapter. And it's been really helpful. So I would recommend the Bible recap. It's quick and it's easily digestible. And the host does a really good job of making it pretty crystal clear of what happened, because it can be confusing sometimes. I also think for me, something that's been a big part of my journey is really just watching what I'm consuming. And that can be music, TV shows, social media accounts, podcasts. What am I consuming, and does it reflect the goodness of God? Does that rap song that says a bunch of cuss words, does that really reflect the goodness of God? No, probably not. I kind of have gotten to a point where if I'm in a place that's playing rap music, I get really, I almost want to plug my ears and go la la la. I don't want to listen to it. It's not good for me. And I don't like the way that I feel when that music is on. And so I've really been very particular about music. I've been really particular about podcast episodes. This show used to be explicitly rated. I don't cuss anymore. I mean, every now and then I let something slip, but I really have tried to clean up my language because it just sounds it sounds bad. Like you listen to some, or at least I listen to people now sometimes and I'm like, ooh, did I used to sound like that? Like, could I really not think of a better word than the word that I was saying to articulate how I felt? And so I even have had it on my heart. I'm just trying to decide what to do of like, should I go back and delete old episodes of the show? Like, is that something that I should do? And I really don't know. So I've been praying a lot about that lately too. Is like, do I delete old episodes that don't really reflect who I am, or do I keep them just to prove that change is possible? I really don't know. Yeah, there's so many little things, and just those two, really, reading the Bible and watching what I consume, have been huge for my spiritual fitness, and also just surrounding myself with people who lift me up and people who encourage me and want me to grow in my relationship with God. And it really is true. Like you can so easily morph into the people that you're around, and peer pressure is real. It's really easy to slip back into old ways if you're around certain people. And so I just have really tried to be very, I don't know if cautious is the right word, but just very smart with like who I'm spending my time with and what their intentions are with our time together. And if those match mine, then we're cool. And if they don't match mine, then like maybe we shouldn't spend as much time together, you know?
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. With over 122 million parts, you can make sure your number one ride or die stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
So now what? You feel like you have a strong spiritual foundation. Also, these two things can kind of go hand in hand simultaneously. Like, I wouldn't just stop working out while you work on growing closer to God. I think that you can definitely do two at the same time. But how can you get started with your fitness routine? Because there's so many workouts out there. And I want to preface this by saying you got to do what works for you, plain and simple. Like there's a workout out there for everyone, but there are definitely workouts out there that are gonna be better for you, for sure. Like, I see some stuff that people do on Instagram, and I don't want to be a hater, but there's this one thing going around, and it was like drumsticks and like ballast balls, and I don't really know what they were doing, but it was in like a gym, like a studio type space, and it was a lot of people doing it, and maybe they had like ankle weights and stuff on. I don't really know, and I can't speak necessarily to this workout or the benefits of it because I really only saw like a 60-second clip. But there are definitely some workouts out there that you're just like, okay, come on, can you guys pick up a barbell? Like, it's probably going to be more beneficial if you spend your 45-minute class doing something with dumbbells or something like that. I don't know. But when considering what workouts to do, and I've done it all. I feel like I've really done it all. I've gone to bar classes. I've gone to spin classes. I've gone to Pilates, Legree, which is like solid core. Yoga's a big thing. Running, hot girl walks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many different types of workouts that you could do. And Orange Theory, berries, other boot camp style workouts. Like, there's so many things that you could do. And I think that you have to find something that works for you depending on that season of your life. And what is going to work now might not necessarily work a year from now. But I have, to some degree, found a formula that seems pretty widely accepted in the fitness community of what some good training methods are and what typically I've seen work best for people and what's worked best for me. So first and foremost, strength training, plain and simple. I think everyone should partake in some sort of strength training at least twice a week. Strength training is any form of exercise that involves using weights and resistance to build strength in your muscles. So this could be Olympic lifting, dumbbells, pretty much you think like your traditional gym workouts, those are probably strength training. I prefer no machines. Like I belong to a bunch of different gyms in my lifetime because I used to hop around, right? I'd be like, this workout isn't working for me. Let me go try something else. Because it wouldn't get me skinny enough. Like that was literally my mindset. And I just always felt like with the machines, I wasn't really being necessarily challenged and I wasn't truly building muscle. And I know that people going into gyms and like bodybuilders will use machines and it works fine, but I just never really felt like I loved the machines. But I do love a good barbell, and I love just like your classic like squat rack barbell. There's so much you can do with the barbell and some dumbbells. Ultimately, I've seen strength training just improve every aspect of everyday life, and it really just makes everyday tasks so much easier when you have the coordination, the confidence, and when you just have the body awareness. Like strength training, the biggest thing for me that it's taught me is just the body awareness. Like I just feel so connected with my body in a way that I have never been in the past. And I think that that has to do with obviously my training, but also my mindset when it comes to my training. Like I'm doing this because my body deserves to be treated well and to be challenged. And I've seen such incredible improvements through strength training. And really, when it comes to your muscles, if you don't use them, you lose them. Plain and simple. If you don't use them, you're going to lose them. Building muscle mass and maintaining your weight or gaining weight or losing weight, strength training can do all of that based on your training plan. So if you have never picked up a dumbbell in your life and you're listening to this, totally cool. I would just go on YouTube really quick and Google like strength training basic workout for beginners and just see what pops up. I mean, there's so many ways to access educational materials when it comes to fitness routines these days. Like there's so much online for free. If you're in the area, shoot me a DM and let's work out together. I'll bring you to my gym. I go to Eastern Shore Performance on Kent Island. I've never been this strong in my entire life. I can do things that I never thought I could do. So it's really just a matter of the program that you do and the coaches that you have. So yes, you can access free knowledge on YouTube, but I highly recommend training with a group of people because you will challenge yourself in ways that you never thought that you could. And also there's tons of programs that you could pay for too. And I love the Form workouts, Sammy Clark. She's got some free ones on YouTube too, but I also recommend her app. Like she's got so many cool workouts. I think that they just added like a summer strength training program. So she does a really good job, but it doesn't have to be this big crazy thing. You don't have to be intimidated. You shouldn't be intimidated. It's really just about learning about your body, creating body awareness, and then you can lift the heavier weights. No one's going to place a 100-pound barbell in front of you and ask you to press it overhead right from the jump. No one's going to ask that of you. Gain a foundation, just like we talked about with the spiritual fitness, same thing's going to happen with your physical fitness. You're going to build a foundation and then you're going to build up to certain milestones, build up to certain workouts. It's not going to be this crazy program right from the jump unless you're ready for that. Second piece of the puzzle here, first was strength training. Second piece of the puzzle is cardio. And I know I mentioned my friend Megan earlier in the episode, but she said something last summer to me that really just stuck with me. And it's that the best gift that anyone can give themselves is the ability to go for a 30-minute run. And she said that last summer. And I've thought about it ever since. And I used to really dislike running. I really did not like running. And I realized that running is one of the most simple physical activities that you can do. You don't need an expensive non-slip mat. You don't need a barbell. You just need a pair of good running shoes and yourself. And you can go and you can do it with music, without music, with a friend, by yourself. in your community. You could go somewhere cool to do it. Like you could literally run anywhere at any point in time and you don't need much. And so I think running is obviously becoming super trendy, but for good reason. I think that everyone should be able to walk out their front door and go give themselves a 30-minute run. And that is a true, simple way to treat your body right, is to have the confidence of like, okay, I can do this. I can go for a run. If my friend asks me to sign up for a 5K, could I do it? Absolutely. Absolutely, I could do it, because a 5K is a 30-minute run essentially, or maybe less if you're faster. That's the thing. You don't have to be fast. I'm not very fast. I started a run club. I'm not very fast. It's not about really your time. It's just about getting out there and doing it. And it's really simple. And you can start slow. Like literally download the Nike Run Club app. You can track your mileage, or Strava. You might have to pay for Strava. I don't really know. And just go run a mile. Run a mile a couple times every single week, and then run a mile and a half, and then run 2, and then 2.5, and then 3, and just build up to eventually your goal of 30 minutes or 3 miles or a 5K or whatever you decide to do. Build up to it and keep it simple. You don't need anything fancy. Anyone can run. So first step was strength training. Second step is cardio. Third piece of the puzzle here is your recovery. Under this recovery tab, I have yoga, ice bath, sauna, hydration, foam rollers, and other little therapy tools, and then food. So we'll kind of dive into each of these like one by one. Yoga, I put in the recovery category. It's something that I try to do at least twice a week. I used to go to yoga like every single day, but I've just been prioritizing strength training and cardio these days. I really do consider yoga as a form of recovery, even though it's a hard workout. Like sometimes you walk out of the yoga studio, you're like, okay, that's all I need to do today. There's nothing else I need to do. It can be a full body workout. It is one of those things for me that when I do it, I just perform better in all areas. Hot and cold therapy, huge for recovery. I started to get back on my cold shower grind. I wish I had more access to a sauna. Unfortunately, I don't, but when I did, it was super nice. So if you do have access to hot and cold therapies, whether it's an ice bath, sauna, steam room, whatever it is, definitely utilize those. You'd be amazed at the way that your body feels when you do both of those things. Foam roller, Theragun, lacrosse ball, yoga blocks, intense stretching while you're watching TV at night, whatever kind of stretching routine you decide to come up with, definitely invest in these recovery tools. It's something that I know I need to get better at, is like just sitting on the foam roller for like 20 minutes. But there's such a big difference between the people that do this type of recovery and the people that don't. And the people that do continue to just improve in every area, and the people that don't might stay stagnant. So don't skip out on the foam roller. Don't skip out on the stretch. I know in like spin classes and stuff, it's a big thing to like unclip from your bike and skip the stretch. Never skip the stretch. Why would you skip the stretch? You can spare 5 extra minutes. I see it as an instructor too at the yoga studio. Like people will leave as soon as the class is over, which is fine. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you gotta go, you gotta go. We are gonna stretch. If you can spare 5 minutes, please stay. And I get it if you have to leave and go to work, but I'm also like, how big of a difference is 5 minutes gonna make? I don't really know. It depends. But are you gonna stretch when you get home? Probably not. Hydration, huge. I've been drinking LMNT or Liquid IV. Liquid IV is kind of sugary. That's why I like LMNT. And I also just think it tastes better. But I'll leave a link in the show notes for you guys. It's just the letters LMNT. And I think it's just called Element. But I say LMNT, I say the letters. But it's been such a big hydration hack for me lately, especially because it's getting hotter outside. I've been trying to drink that, especially if I work out hard. In the morning, I try to just stay hydrated throughout the day. And then food. This is a tough one because it's like, gosh, what do I eat that's good for me? I might do a whole updated episode on like food and where I'm at with it. But I'm just like, I don't even want to talk about food. I don't know why, but I'm like turned off by it because I don't want to put ideas in people's heads and make them feel bad about something that they ate, or like they're not, sufficiently feeding their bodies. But a good rule of thumb, at least when it comes to protein. And like, you don't have to count calories. I definitely wouldn't. I don't. You don't have to count your macros and all this stuff. But like, if you can eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, that's probably a good safe bet. So if you're 120 pounds, you should eat 120 grams of protein. That's what I heard from my trainers. That is what has worked best for me, is that formula. But once again, hire someone who really knows what they're talking about. And if you have a specific goal, chat with them about it. But never, ever, ever let it get to a point where you're not letting yourself enjoy life because you're too obsessed with your food. And I will link my binge eating episode in the show notes. It is an awful mindset to be in when all you're concerned about is what's my next meal and what's it going to be and is it going to make me fat? Like, that was my mindset for such a long time, and it's the worst possible thing that you could ever like just sit around and think about. Yeah, I'll link that episode, but I just don't want to talk about food because I don't want to give you guys ideas, and I don't want to make people, I don't know, it's just such a sensitive thing, and it shouldn't be. It definitely shouldn't be, but I think for some people, a lot of people it is. So maybe one day, but until then, that's my formula, is strength training, cardio, and recovery. Those 3 big puzzle pieces have been huge for me when it comes to finding a fitness routine that works. For me right now, this is kind of how my routine goes. I strength train like 3 to 4 times a week. I run at least twice a week. Sometimes running is incorporated into my strength workouts. And then recovery, I try to go to yoga at least once a week. If I don't, I just do it here in my house. And I try to just eat well and stay hydrated. But yeah, I hope that this was helpful for you guys. I hope that this kind of gave you some insight on where I'm at with my fitness journey and how to begin yours. Truly, I think fitness is a mind, body, spirit activity. And you can get to a point where like you're in your workout and you just kind of go to like a different mental headspace, going to a place in my mind where I'm not really concerned about what's going on in the outside world. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about other people. I'm not thinking about what I have to do later. I'm just focused on this moment right now. There aren't a lot of other activities that I've found that help me silence my mind as much as working out does. And so it's just been such a huge part of my healing journey to some degree, is like just transforming the way that I work out because of the reason why I work out. So I hope that this episode was helpful for you guys. I hope that you got some good insight into how to build a spiritual fitness foundation and then take that into the gym with you. I love you guys so much. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to continue with the solo series. We're going to just keep kind of chugging along, talking about these tough topics. If you guys have any topics that you want me to touch on, please send me a DM. I would love your feedback. That's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give it a 5-star rate and review. That just helps more people find and listen to the show. I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon.